Welcome.
Thank you.
Is this the first time you're interviewed by an Arab Israeli?
It's the first time that I've been interviewed with a crowd like this.
The first time. So I'm really excited. Thank you for coming. Morris, how old are you?
I'm 93.
93. So Morris, I have these pictures, okay? I don't know if you can see the iPad.
Okay.
I have this picture of you horse riding in 1980.
Right.
This was him horse riding in 1980. Look at him. What a stud. This is him 4 days ago.
But hold on. It looks good. But I've got to tell you a story. After I did that jump, a semi-trailer came past where I was, and the horse gave a jump, and I fell off. So 3 days ago, I fell off the horse, and I'm suffering from a little bit of a cracked rib. So my breath is a little bit wonky.
But you're still here. So, guys, I want to show you this again. I'm so sorry. 40 years ago, 4 days ago. 40 years ago, 4 days ago. It is incredible. I want to be you when I'm 93.
I want to be you now.
Morris, today I want to talk about
Yeah.
how to live a life of meaning. You've had 93 years to live,
Right.
and I would like to understand how you live your life for the last 93 years. Okay? I want to focus on 4 things. How to build a better home, how to build a better economy here in Israel, how to build better dreams, and how to build a better world.
Okay.
You've done all 4.
Okay.
So my question to you is, why the hell did you come to Israel?
Well, basically, I come from South Africa. By the way, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. I come from South Africa. I was born there, and as I grew up, I began to realize that we as white people who really dominated the country were treating people of color very badly. We were an apartheid country, and I felt very bad for the way we were treating the African people. And I didn't want to bring my children up in a society that was divided and actually persecuted people, didn't let them develop. It wasn't what I wanted to do. So I had 2 young children. I was 25 years old, and I decided I'd like to come to Israel. Now you ask, why Israel?
Why Israel?
Okay. The Jewish people need a home of their own. We saw what happened in the world. We saw what happened in the Holocaust. This happened because we did not have a home of our own. And I wanted to go to Israel. I wanted to come to Israel to help build a country where we as Jews could find our own independence.
Amazing. Okay. So you came here,
Yeah.
and the first thing he did, you actually built the Yellow Pages.
Yeah.
The Yellow Pages of Israel was you.
Well, it wasn't the first thing I did. I did a whole lot of things. And basically, I failed. Things didn't work out for me. I didn't understand the culture. I didn't understand really even the language. And the things I tried, and I didn't have the experience. And it was a little bit tough. I was actually 26 years old. I had 2 young children. I went to live on a moshav, actually Bet Yonai. I wanted to live on the beach. It was a little bit tough. The first years of my life were a little bit difficult. And I did a lot of things. I helped put up a bicycle factory in the Jerusalem corridor, and a few other things, a glove factory. Now, can you imagine making gloves in Israel? Do any of you have a pair of gloves? Nobody.
Did that succeed or
I set up a
fail?
glove factory.
Did that factory work?
Well, we produced the gloves in Israel, my objective was to provide work for women in the outlying areas, give them sewing machines, give them the leather, sew it up, and then export them. So it was very difficult to do. And eventually I discovered that that wasn't for me.
So there was one time where you were fighting corruption, like here in Israel, 50 years ago.
That's not only one time. I've been doing it all my life in Israel.
Tell us about that.
And I think one of the big problems in Israel, we've got to face it. We've got to make sure that we wipe out corruption. This is undermining our economy and our future.
So that is the first time in which you actionably made your home better, by fighting corruption in your business, by doing all these different businesses, hiring people. And then, for those that don't know, you went and you created 20,000 jobs in the country.
Okay.
How did that work?
How did that work? Well, it started off with the Yellow Pages. And the story is, I think, an interesting story. There was a competition, a tender for the Yellow Pages in Israel. And ITT, an international telephone and telegraph, a big company, the biggest company in the world for Yellow Pages, they came to Israel and they wanted to participate in the tender. And by chance, purely by chance, I met the person who represented them. And I helped him put together a proposal for the tender. The tender was very simple, and ITT should have won it hands down. But ITT lost. And he came to Israel, this young man that I helped, and he said he's just got to wind up and give it up. And I said, absolutely not. You should have won this tender. And I actually helped him fight against the government, and I got the government ultimately to review the tender. I found myself once going to speak to a minister in Tel Aviv. And as I was walking out, Pinchas Sapir, who probably few of you know, he was the Minister of Finance, and he really controlled the country. And he walked in, and with all his assistants. So I joined his assistants, and I walked in with them. They dropped their bags and the papers and left him, and I found myself in the office with the most powerful man in Israel. And he looked at me and he said, what do you want? And I asked him, are you interested in the biggest conglomerate in the world investing in Israel? He said, what kind of a question is that? Of course I am. So I told him the story of the tender and how ITT had lost. And he said, so who was the person who won it? And I said, his name is Avram Levy. He had a little project of brochures for tourism in a hotel. He said, Avram Levy, he was my driver. Anyway, to cut a long story short,
yes,
he sent me to the Minister of Communications. And I talked to him. And he said to me, look, the Jewish people have been without the Yellow Pages for 2,000 years. If they don't have it for another 10 years, it's no problem. But he said to me, you know what, go and solve the problem. So I solved it. And in solving the problem, I got the contract for ITT. And then when they came to compensate me, they said, how much do we owe you? And I said, you don't owe me anything. And they said, how come? I said, this is not my business. I believe you have the right to do business in my country. And I fought for justice. And for that, I don't need money.
Amazing. You have the right to do business in my country.
You have the right to do business in my country. That was my first contact with the corruption. And
okay, so from that point on.
So as a result of this, he said, look, but we'd like to pay you. I said, I won't take money. And he was impressed with my integrity and my honesty. And he asked me, how would you like to manage the company for me? And that was how I got the job of managing the Yellow Pages.
And that's how you got the job.
It was really as a result of helping them and actually looking for justice and doing the right thing and being honest and sincere.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you for doing that.
So that gave me my break.
So, 10, 20 years later, all of a sudden, you become a billionaire. Okay? We're not going to go into that. Just very easy. You built a big company.
Yeah.
And then, we'll skip the easy part. And then at some point, I learned about you when you decided to do the craziest thing someone could do.
Before that, the Yellow Page business, we developed a software company for managing the Yellow Page company. And this, we actually conquered the world. We actually, little Israel, we actually got our project in every telephone company in the world.
It's crazy.
And that led to telephone billing. And that led to my becoming a friend with the chairman of AT&T, the biggest telephone company in the world. And that led us to Amdocs. And Amdocs, we had about 20,000 workers.
Amazing. So inspiring. Okay. And then you decided to fund the craziest idea that can possibly be thought of, landing on the moon. How drunk were you when you sent the money? And how much did you spend?
Now I want to tell you, I wasn't drunk, but I listened to the people who were drunk. What happened was, I was a member of a group of people who were involved with the ocean and with space. I built the underwater observatory in Eilat, and I got involved with this group because of my underwater work. And this company, we go twice a year and we go diving in different parts of the world. So one day, the CEO of NASA came to give a lecture at the Tel Aviv University. So I decided to go and listen to her. After she spoke, 3 young men got up and they said, there's a Google Prize to put a spacecraft on the moon, and we've decided to participate. So I got up and I congratulated them, and I asked them, have you got any money? And they said, money? No. I said, have you thought about it? How are you going to go about this? And they said, not really. I said, come to my office and I'll give you $100,000, no questions asked, and you start. So they did, and they came back. They had sat in a bar, these 3 engineers, and after a couple of drinks, they decided to participate in the competition. And they worked out on paper that it would cost about $8 million. So they asked me whether I would join them, and I did. This $8 million turned out to be $100 million.
Wow.
But once I was involved, I felt I had to really go through with it and really get it. And I succeeded in helping them raise the money. More than half of it was actually money which I put up.
So Morris, okay, the big idea here is, I feel like this can only happen in Israel, where there is 3 engineers who are stupid enough to think they can go to the moon
For $8 million.
for $8 million and compete with NASA, and then another person who is stupid enough to give them $50 million.
Absolutely.
And why?
I tell you, in Israel, we want to prove that we can do things. We're sometimes a little bit unrealistic, but perhaps that's what enables us to undertake challenges. And if you look at our startups, we do amazing things.
And actually, the picture you have in your home, I saw it, of this, which is really an incredible picture of you made it to the moon.
Well, we made it to the moon. We were then the only non-government group who'd actually got to the moon. Normally, to get to the moon,
Insane.
to get to the moon, countries do it, and they have tremendous infrastructures. They've got tremendous industries, and they spend thousands of millions. They spend billions, not hundreds of millions. We did it really on a shoestring. And people ask me, why did you do it? And I felt that, one, I wanted to show that Israel had the technology. And the other thing is, I wanted to encourage young people to get involved in science and mathematics. And as a matter of fact, when we landed on the moon, every child in Israel was watching. They got up early in the morning, and the feeling of getting to the moon was great. Now, I told the engineers, if we crash, don't say we crash. Say we had a hard landing. Sure as God made it happen. What happened? And by the way, the other countries take a rocket and they go straight to the moon. We didn't have the money to do that. We found an innovative way of doing it. We got a lift to a geostationary position, which is not far from the Earth. And this goes around the Earth. And we periodically give it a thrust, and we go further, and we go further. And this elliptical orbit eventually brings us to the gravity of the moon. And then the gravity of the moon pulls us around the moon. So we got to the moon on the cheap.
Amazing.
Anyway, so sure enough, they said we crashed.
It's very Israeli.
I grabbed the mic and I said, we're going to do it again. And actually, we're back again, and we're going to do it again.
Amazing. So how to live a meaningful life? You build a better home by fighting corruption. You build a better economy by creating 20,000 jobs. You build better dreams by making kids know that they can make it to the moon. And I'm one of those kids, by the way. I also was inspired that if you can make it to the moon, I can build a fucking Facebook page.
And you did.
And now, the next part is to build a better world. And you're doing it not in Israel. You're doing it all the way in Ethiopia. What's going on?
Well, there are several things I do. One of them is save a child's heart. Save a child's heart. We address the problem of children in countries where they don't have the facility to do these very difficult operations. And we go to these countries, and we go to the West Bank, and we bring these children into Israel after vetting them. We operate on them, they stay with their families a little while, and they go back. And I want to tell you, we have saved the lives to date of 6,500 children's lives.
So, Morris.
And what we're doing now is we built a hospital at Wolfson, and in this hospital we bring doctors from these underdeveloped countries, we train these doctors here, and we send them back to their countries. So all over the world, there are doctors who we have trained in this very difficult problem of saving children's hearts. And I want to tell you, when you see these children, you can only, your heart, it really talks to you. It's an amazing project.
Amazing, amazing. So, Morris, there is one term you told me about, which is called Gaia. What is Gaia?
Before you come to Gaia, when I turned 80, they wanted to make a birthday party for me. So I said, really, I'm not interested in a birthday party. I met somebody, he's an ophthalmic surgeon, and he told me that actually you can repair a cataract or a trachoma, which makes people blind. You can do that in about 25 minutes. And in Ethiopia, there are a lot of people who suffer from not being able to see from cataracts and trachoma. So I said, you know what? To go and do something would not be nice. It would be a crime not to do it. And I took a team of volunteers, doctors, ophthalmic surgeons, and we began to operate on these people in Ethiopia. They suffer because of their climate, nutrition, and hygiene. And the first deal we did, the first time we went, we did 600 operations. And we've been doing it for a long time now, and we've done tens of thousands of operations. And I tell you, sometimes a woman will bring you a young child who's never walked, who's never seen. His eyes have never opened. And all this child knows is the warmth of his mother's breast. And she would bring this child, we take the child from her, he screams and makes a lot of noise, we operate on him, and the following day, this child walks. You cannot buy the pleasure that it gives you for money. It is amazing.
Morris, last question.
Yeah.
What is your message to everybody here? What is your message to everybody here? And what is Gaia?
I tell you, you're a very young crowd, and the first thing you've got to do is you've got to try and make a living. And from what I see, a lot of you are very successful, and social media is definitely a tool that you all seem to respond to, and you know how to make it work. But when you pass the stage of making a living, and you're actually a little bit more settled, you've got to look at your life and say, life is not just making money. You've got to do something which is meaningful. And when I say you've got to do something which is meaningful, it's not for the people who you're going to help. It's for you. The satisfaction that you get from this kind of work is absolutely amazing. When you can give a child sight, you really feel you've done something. When you can give a child life and repair his heart, you've really done something. And if you just genuinely get involved in doing and helping, but genuinely, it's got to come from within you. The satisfaction that it gives you a thrust for life and a thrust for living, and really, it makes your life worthwhile.
Amazing. Morris, do you know what my t-shirt means?
Yeah.
Okay, let me explain to people what my t-shirt means. It says 40% of life. I'm 31 years old. I'm supposed to live until 76. That's the average life expectancy. 31 out of 76 is 40%. That's what my t-shirt means. But today, I want to give you a gift, Morris. Yeah. I want to give you a t-shirt. And I've never done this in my life. But this t-shirt says 120%. You have lived a wonderful life, and this is very inspiring for all of us. So thank you so much, Morris.
Just before you go.
Yes.
Look, once I've got your ear, I'd like to just tell you. People ask me, what is the greatest problem that you see facing the world today? And I think the greatest problem facing the world today is global warming. We humans can live within a temperature range which somehow is God-given. You know, when you look at the Earth from space, it's a blue planet. When you look at the moon from the Earth, it's a dead planet. Global warming is, I think, the most serious problem facing mankind. For thousands of years, we have exploited the riches of the earth. We pay no attention to it. And the earth is getting warmer. The ice caps in the North Pole and the South are melting. If we don't do something, we'll get to a tipping point that we'll not be able to do anything. And this, in my mind, is really the problem. There was somebody who wrote the book with a concept called Gaia, that the earth is really like a living organism. And this living organism has provided us with the climate and the bounty of nature that we enjoy. But we've exploited it. And now we are paying a price. And there was a book written by the person who founded it. It's called The Revenge of Gaia. It's written by somebody called Lovelock. I really recommend, if you've got the patience...
The Revenge of Gaia.
Yeah, The Revenge of Gaia. I think we've got to do something. And we've really got to do it quickly. Time is passing.
Amazing. Thank you, Morris. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.